Hello and welcome to The World Today. I'm Millicent Walker. First, the headlines. EU leaders unable to agree on ending supplies of Russian oil and gas, says Germany's economy minister. And Qantas Airways orders Airbus jets for world's longest non-stop flight. Plus, the Pegasus spyware is detected on the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's phone. Welcome everyone, I'm Millicent Walker. Now the EU energy ministers meeting in Brussels are still unable to agree on ending supplies of Russian oil and gas. Germany's oil minister Robert Habeck says Germany and the European Union want to avoid economic catastrophes by thoughtlessly imposing an embargo on Russian oil. At their meeting earlier today, Poland's climate minister called for immediate sanction on Russian oil and gas. Germany would be able to weather an EU embargo on Russian oil imports by the end of this year, even though a stoppage could result in shortages. Well, the comments are coming as the European Commission is expected to propose a sixth package of EU sanctions this week against Russia over its invasion of Ukraine, including a ban on buying Russian oil, a move that would cut off a large revenue stream to Moscow, but which has so far divided EU countries. Russia supplies 40% of EU gas and 26% of its oil imports.
Germany is not against an oil ban on Russia. Of course, it is a heavy load to bear, but we are ready to do that. It would help if we have some weeks or months more time to do all the preparations, meaning the technical preparations. So we have to find some ships carrying oil from west to east. We have to prepare the harbors. We have to prepare the pipelines. So time is helpful, but I think other countries have bigger problems. And
as I mentioned, we are on the safe side. We are also ready when it comes to infrastructure to refine oil and to be fully independent from Russian oil. And I do believe that all European countries can do the same. We also express our solidarity and we are ready to support countries, to supply them with non-Russian fossil fuels. We are ready to be solidarious with our infrastructure and to supply them if necessary.
EU leaders there meeting over Russia gas. But back in Ukraine, buses with evacuees from the besieged Azov Store plant in Mariupol traveled today to Zaporizhia from a village where the Russian military had set up a temporary camp. The convoy led by the International Committee for the Red Cross was seen in Benzime village. Among the evacuees was Yelena Atulova, 44, who told news agencies about how they sheltered in the vast Azov Store industrial complex since February 24. Azov Store is located at the Sea of Azov port that has been devastated by weeks of Russian shelling and has served as a refuge for both civilians and a dwindling number of Ukrainian troops, as Moscow has claimed control of Mariupol. Thousands are believed to have been killed, and those still stuck in the complex, whose network of bunkers and tunnels has provided shelter, were running out of water, food and medicine. The Russian army said 126 people had left Mariupol in safe convoys over Saturday and Sunday from the steelworks and other districts for separatist-controlled Donetsk. Of these, 57 opted to stay in that area, while the others had decided to leave for Ukrainian-held parts, it said. Ukraine's naval forces have published a video today they said showed Ukrainian drone strikes hitting 2 Russian high-speed patrol boats in the Black Sea. Ukraine's military chief said 2 Russian Raptor-class patrol boats were destroyed in the area today by Ukrainian Bayraktar drone. It says 2 Russian Raptor-class boats were destroyed near Zimny, called Snake Island. This is from the Chief General Staff, who wrote by Telegram. Now, there was no immediate reaction from Moscow to the claim. Elsewhere, U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi met with Polish President Andrzej Duda at the presidential palace in Warsaw today. Pelosi's office issued a statement saying that the U.S. delegation came to Poland to send an unmistakable message to the world that America stands firmly with NATO allies in the support for Ukraine. In the meeting, officials are set to discuss how they can further work together to support Ukraine. Ms. Pelosi met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv on Sunday. President Joe Biden asked Congress to approve the aid package on Thursday in what would mark a dramatic escalation of U.S. funding for Ukraine. Moscow calls its actions a special military operation to disarm Ukraine and rid it of anti-Russian nationalism fomented by the West. Ukraine and the West say Russia launched an unprovoked war of aggression.
I państwa, naszych dostojnych gości tutaj w Warszawie.
And VOA's our correspondent Anna Chernikova joins us now from Kyiv in Ukraine. Hi, Anna. Anna, I want to begin with the missile explosion in Kyiv, and this is where you are. It was also during the UN Secretary General's visit. What was that like?
Hello. Yes, just at the end of last week, on Thursday, Kyiv was shot by 2 missiles. Well, actually 5 missiles, but 2 missiles reached the residential house. This was just during the visit of the UN Secretary General and of the Prime Minister of Bulgaria as well. So this was clearly considered as kind of, we call it here the postcard from Moscow. It was definitely an attack on the EU officials and UN official. Mr. Guterres just finished the meeting with President Zelensky when 2 missiles actually exploded. Unfortunately, the residential building was very heavily damaged, and 1 person has died. This person is our colleague, a journalist from Radio Liberty. She was living there. The explosion happened just about 50 meters from the visa center of the UK. Because the area where strikes reached is very close to the city center, and it's a beginning of the diplomatic quarter, as it's called in Kyiv, because there are a lot of embassies and visa centers in there. So this attack was definitely considered as disrespect and threatening of the European community and international community for their support in this war for Ukraine. But again, definitely the reaction was very fast, the reaction back, and international community reached out saying that they're not going to be afraid, and there's not going to change anything in their relation with Ukraine and their support for Ukraine in this war.
And Anna, it's really sad what happened to our colleague of Radio Liberty and to all who have indeed suffered risking their lives covering the invasion in Ukraine. But then something good, some would say, came out of this. And this is with the UN-backed evacuation of citizens in Mariupol, we understand is also continuing today. How far is that coming along?
Yes, finally, the decision has been taken, and at least certain decision. 100 people were evacuated yesterday from Azov Store plant. This is definitely the result of the visit of Mr. Guterres to Moscow and to Kyiv. at least it looks very much like that, and I'm sure that this is exactly the reason. So finally, the civilians were able to get out from the shelter, from the underground, deep underground, I should say, in more than 2 months. A lot of children, a lot of women, and old people, together with their pets, were able to leave Mariupol yesterday. So 100 people are already in Zaporizhia, where Ukrainian government prepared everything for their meeting, for their accommodation, and for any help, any medical aid they would need. Of course, together with the UN and with the Red Cross, and this is a huge victory together, I should say. Today, the evacuation continues, and this is a very good sign, of course. Today, evacuation has a little wider spread, because it was confirmed that evacuation would start in Mariupol, and according to the latest information, it has already started. We don't know yet where exactly the convoy is at the moment, but it's supposed to reach Zaporizhia by the end of the day. And it would be additional 2 stops from Mariupol, on the way from Mariupol to Zaporizhia, so people could join the convoy from additional 2 spots of the region, and also civilian cars could join the convoy at the end. So basically, we hope that more people than yesterday would be able to get out from the blockade, from the blocked region. But again, we will see, because Russian forces created a so-called filtration border. So basically, people are coming there together with UN representatives and Red Cross, and Russian forces are kind of, checking out, doing interviews, whatever, and only after that people are let out from Mariupol and let into the Ukrainian control side. So we'll see how it's going on, but hopefully, really hopefully, that more people would be able to get out, because I just would like to remind you that more than 1,000 civilians are at the moment at the Azov Store plant, and a lot of them are injured, because for the past 2 months, Mariupol and Azovstal in particular are under severe attacks with different kind of bombs and all this different kind of missiles. So it's really a huge hope that this would happen quite fast, and more than 100 people per day would be able to get out.
And concerning the Azov Store, we know what Putin said last time: not even a single fly should be allowed to pass through there. So it is really good seeing that this is happening now. But the question is, will all parties, and this is also especially Russia, will they see things through? And this is with, this sort of corridor of hope, evacuating these civilians. And this is also, as we're hearing on the other hand, that the strikes have not necessarily stopped.
Yes, exactly. I should say that it's clearly seen that Ukrainian forces have a lot of success at the front line. And I think this is also one of the reasons why this actually was able to, to proceed with this evacuation, because Russia is forced to negotiate and forced to let people, civilians, out at the battlefield. And this is very important to understand. It's not only because of the international stage negotiations, because as we can see, the negotiations are happening for quite a long time already, and only now this was finally possible. Well, I think that at least what we hope for, that this evacuation would also be for other people, other civilians from Mariupol, because I also would like to remind you that in total, more than 120,000 people are still blocked in Mariupol, and they are now under Russian control. And of course, they also need help, and they need to be saved and need to be evacuated to the Ukrainian control side. So for the moment, this is what it is. There is no question for the moment regarding evacuation of the soldiers, of the injured soldiers. But again, we'll see how it's going on and how it will be going on and how it will be changing, because again, everything is decided on the battlefield for the moment.
And Anna, let's talk about Kherson. We understand Russian troops are controlling Kherson and said that the ruble would be used in the city from Sunday. I mean, did this happen? Can you tell us what's going on there?
Officially, there is no confirmation about ruble for the moment. There are some, let's say, some people told that some pensions were paid in rubles. But again, this is not confirmed information. But this is what civilians are telling, that some people got the rubles pension. But again, these people, they don't want to support, because Kherson is very Ukrainian city. And also you can see it from all the protests that they do. And when they get out to the square with no weapon and just with Ukrainian flags, to say that they're not supporting this. So people basically exchange rubles into Ukrainian hryvnias, and they don't want to use rubles, so they gonna kind of protest. It's their little protest, as they say, that they exchange rubles back into Ukrainian hryvnias. So for the moment, as officials of Kherson administration who are still working and who are still in the city, they mentioned that in terms of banking system, it's not possible for the moment for ruble to start operation, because Ukrainian banking system is working. So officially, I cannot confirm it. And definitely it will be very difficult for Russian side to do this, because again, as Ukrainian President Zelensky mentioned, if anything like this happens, and if anything like so-called quasi-republic referendum created by Russians would take place, this would end any negotiations between the sides. So we'll see how it's gonna continue in there. But for the moment, I cannot confirm anything like that.
And with this happening in Kherson, give us a picture of perhaps where Russia has some sort of stronghold. Kherson on the one hand, then there's Zaporizhia, there's Mariupol, and there is Donbass, which they've said they've taken all the fighting to.
You need to understand that Kherson, and everyone needs to understand that Kherson is a crucial point, because this is so for Russian side. It's a very crucial point, because it's kind of a protection of Crimea, and it's kind of a corridor to Crimea. It's another seaside. They will definitely want to have a long-term control of Kherson and the region. But again, Ukrainian forces had certain success in the region of Kherson. Also, Kherson is a very important point in terms of logistics, because if Russian forces control Kherson perfectly, then they can proceed and go on to Mykolaiv and to Kryvyi Rih, which is on the way and also on the way up to the Zaporizhia region. So this is kind of a crucial central point. But again, you've probably heard about Chornobaivka, which is a little city next to Kherson, and this is kind of the main logistics arteria of the region. And today we got official information confirmed by the Ukrainian officials that it was 18th time that Ukrainian army destroyed all the supplies by Russians, because all the supplies, military supplies, are going through Chornobaivka. So 18 times already Ukrainians destroyed, and Russians continue to bring supplies there because there is no other way. So in terms of Kherson, it would be very, very difficult for Russians to keep on with Kherson, because as you correctly mentioned, they have to concentrate their main forces at Donbass. And Donbass is another crucial, very important region, and the most severe fightings are going on there right now. So for Russian side, it would be really, really difficult to concentrate, big forces in both areas. And as it looks for the moment, they will have to choose, because Ukrainian forces, they prepare quite successful counterattacks in the past days. So we'll see how all this will end and will go on. But again, for the moment, Kherson remains under Russian control.
We appreciate your time, Anna. Continue to stay safe. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.